The hull sings when we drop out of FTL, not the kind of shudder that comes from a stressed grav collar or a bad transition. This sound is lower, deeper, like the ship is holding its breath. The bridge is washed in cold blue light from the forward viewport. The gas giant dominates everything, filling space like it's always been there. It's too close, too big, too quiet. It shouldn't exist. I know this before Nav even says, no record, no stellar body within 30 light years. We weren't supposed to see anything on this vector. Just dust, cold void, and the return jump coordinates. Instead, this, and in its shadow, a speck. At first I think it's debris, a rogue asteroid caught in the gas giant's pull. But it doesn't tumble, it drifts. And the longer I stare, the more it feels wrong to call it drifting. Its movement is deliberate, slow, and yet expectant. The planet has no star. It is wrapped in a black storm that eats the light, an ink ocean swirling against itself. There are flashes inside, faint geometries that should be impossible. Straight lines, right angles, things nature doesn't make. They ripple in and out of view like a city trapped beneath dark water. Nobody speaks. Even the air recyclers sound far away. I know the crew are looking at me. I can feel them, not their eyes but their silence. Half awe, half fear. The comms crackle, not with voices, not with static, with breathing. I freeze. It's my breathing. Ragged, tight, but wrong. Out of sync. A half beat behind each inhale. A shadow echo of myself louder than the bridge. Cut comms bleed, I say. My voice is flatter than I expect. Ops works the console. No bleed, Captain. Channel's clear. But the breathing doesn't stop. It just slows. The nav array stutters, throws error glyphs, then resolves with an impossible verdict. Object does not exist. On the screen, the black storm planet grows sharper. For a second I swear its curvature shifts, not rotating, not precessing, tilting, as if acknowledging us. My mouth is dry. The others expect a decision, but there's no real choice. We burn too much fuel on the jump here. A return without full recharge is suicide. The nearest viable source is the thing waiting in the shadow. Of the gas giant, I authorize descent thrusters fire. The deck hums under my boots, and the planet swells to fill the viewport. The storm isn't random. Up close, the clouds move in lattices, fractal patterns that seem to shift when I'm not looking directly at them. The flickers of light inside aren't lightning, they're structures, massive, alien, precise. The kind of precision you only get from intent. My hands ache. I realize I've been gripping the armrest hard enough to leave dents in the padding. Then the breathing in the comms changes. It's not mine anymore. It's deeper, slower. Wet Ops is pale, turning dials, shaking their head. No channel open. Voice joins the breathing. Not words, not language, just shape, a vibration in my skull that makes my teeth hurt. I clamp my jaw until I taste blood. Helm whispers, "It's looking at us." And that's when I see it. The storm, its patterns, pull apart, not randomly, like curtains. They open with perfect symmetry, revealing a darkness so absolute it's like looking into the absence of reality. And for the first time since we dropped out of FTL, the ship's hull stops groaning, because it's no longer resisting. The pull isn't gravitational. It's deliberate. We're being drawn in, Helm says. Kill thrust, I order. They do. It makes no difference. The void grows, swallowing the viewport. Inside it, I see the faint outline of structures. Towers, bridges, endless, repeating. Grids moving as if alive. Something deep in me knows they're not moving toward us. They've been here the whole time. We're the ones being rearranged to meet them. The comms breathing stops. For 2 seconds, there's absolute silence. Then, my own voice whispering, "Don't look away." I do. I look down at the console, anywhere but the storm's heart. The temperature drops fast enough for frost to creep along the edges of the display screens. My breath clouds the air inside my helmet collar. The others are still staring forward, their eyes too wide, unblinking. Helm. My voice feels like it's coming from far away. Break us free. No response. I turn and realize Helm's hands are still on the controls, but their wrists are locked, tendons standing out, knuckles white. They're not breathing. The viewport is filled now with a single shape, an iris. Black plates sliding over one another in a slow mechanical blink. At the center, something glows faintly, gold, alien, and patient. I try to speak, to give an order, to scream. Nothing comes out. The iris finishes opening, and then we fall. No sense of acceleration, no thrust or pitch, just the sickening certainty that the universe has shifted and we are no longer where we were meant to be. The last thing I see before the bridge lights die is Helm's reflection in the glass, smiling in perfect sync with me. The landing struts don't thud, they sink. The sound is a wet hiss that climbs through the hull, through my boots, into my teeth. The ship settles as if onto lungs. The bridge lights strobe once and die back to emergency strips. The view ahead is nothing like space. There's no horizon, no sky, just a ceiling of black clouds that pulse with slow subterranean light, as if something very far above us is breathing in time with something very far below. We cycle the ramp. Ozone spills in with the cold, bright and metallic, the taste of fresh blood. My visor auto-seals against the pressure differential, nanofilm irising across the faceplate with a dry flutter. Static crawls over the HUD, coordinates shiver, then lock, then slip again like they're ashamed of what they've latched onto. I log the anomaly with a thumb twitch out of habit, then stop midway. The entry box is already filled in with my shorthand, time-stamped 3 days ago. I haven't written it yet. Atmosphere is hostile but breathable with suit assist, Ops says. Their voice is steady in its practiced way, the kind that doesn't rattle unless bones are showing. No wind profile. Temperature -19. Celsius reading variable. Variable? Sparks says. Her helmet lamps paint thin silver lines across the ramp's ribbed plating, and the light looks wrong out there, swallowed too soon like it's falling into depth. We have a ceiling of storm, no stars. What's varying it? Ops doesn't answer. They're staring past me. Past the ramp, at the ground. It isn't soil. It isn't rock. It looks like plates of dull metal laid over one another and overlapping. Scales, each as big as a cargo pallet. Between them, a seam of dark tarnish punctuated at intervals by tiny vents that open and close to release faint wisps of vapor. The vapor curls and dissolves fast like breath in winter. When the first strut shifted weight, the nearby vents all opened at once and sighed. I put my boot down. It gives. Not a lot, but enough that I feel the return pressure springy and patient. My boot sole makes a tacky sound coming back up as if peeled from wet paint. Record surface flexion, I say. Keep to the crawler path. We unload the crawler. Its treads look absurdly simple here, prehistoric tracks against an engineered continent. When Sparks drives it off the pallet, the ground beneath it ripples, not like water, like muscle. My visor feed glitches. For a second, I'm not looking at the crawler at all. I'm looking at myself watching it, seeing the back of my own helmet and the scar at the collar where the polymer bubbled in a plasma leak last tour. The angle is low, like a child watching from behind my knee. Then it snaps back. A latent migraine shivers behind my eyes. Did you feel that? Sparks asks. Not see, feel. Keep moving, I tell her, and the words sound like they were written down before I said them. Predictable and hollow, a captain's line. We ride. The crawler hums low, a tired animal. Every 20 meters it stutters, as if one tread is catching on something too soft to catch. The terrain spreads away in bone-pale arcs, smooth to the point of blasphemy. There are structures in the near distance, if distance means anything when there's no sky to measure it against. Towers with no seams and no lights, rising taller than mountains in a way that makes mountains feel personal and these feel indifferent. I don't have a better word than bones. Not because they look like bones, but because my body knows they are the right scale to replace the idea of bones. Marking targets, Sparks says, and pins them on the HUD with faint blue ghosts. The towers shimmer when she does, as if the marking brush disturbed a skin meniscus. She doesn't notice. The AI breaks in without preamble. "Welcome back," it says, using the neutral tone we chose for it on launch. Telemetry handshake established. Ops makes a small choking sound. We were on silent approach. There's no "what" handshake. Log shows prior mission identifiers consistent with this crew. The AI continues. Mission duration: 71 hours. Request reconcile conflicting entries. Show the log, I say. Log is blank, the AI says. And then, as if reading from a script it can't deviate from, it repeats. Request reconcile conflicting entries. The words stay on the HUD after the voice goes quiet, jittering at the edges like a cheap hologram. I try to clear them. The command takes, but the letters don't move. They etch deeper. A flicker in the corner of my visor. I turn my head and there's nothing there. Not the kind of nothing that means empty space, but the kind where, something was just standing there and stepped behind a pillar in your brain. I pivot the crawler camera. Feed is clean. My heart doesn't speed up. It's a trick I learned years ago. When panic wants in, you turn down the gain and let it scrape the door quietly until it stops caring. Sir? Helm's voice. It's thinner than it was on the bridge. Light swell in the ceiling. We all look up. The clouds, if clouds are even the right word for that lid of black, pulse in a slow rhythm. The pulse isn't uniform. It traverses from left to right, then backward, then down, then toward us. The pattern makes more sense if I let my eyes blur. A faint grid like an enormous circuit board seen through eclipse glasses. It feels like a heart. It feels like a mind. The worst part is that it feels familiar. AI, I say. Define welcome back. Silence. Not a fault tone, not a busy indicator. Just no one home. A second later. Define what? You said. I did not. A pause. External interference is modifying internal playback. Request, maintain verbal logs to match sensor input. Match them to what? Sparks asks, but the AI's channel is dead. We crest a ridge, not a real ridge, just a convex bulge in the continuous plate, and stop. The tower ahead is as simple as a child's drawing of a needle. No protrusions, no windows, no doors. Its sides catch the crawler's light and don't reflect it so much as drink it and hand it back colder. I dismount, boots sinking 0.5 centimeter. The ground here sounds different beneath weight, a layered click as if we're walking on rows of tiny mandibles. Ops scans. The scanner returns a flat line and a squeal like it bit into a transformer. Sparks tries a passive sweep, hands steady in a way I don't believe. Something moves at the edge of my vision. A kneeling figure. Gray suit. Frozen. Head bowed. I turn to face it, raising my hand without meaning to. The figure isn't there. Helm bumps my shoulder and I flinch harder than I should. You okay, Cap? Focus on your quadrant, I say. He leaves. I can feel him glancing back at me anyway. I don't blame him. The breath in my own helmet sounds too loud, too deliberate. We deploy anchors. The pylons sink with a rotary whine drilling into the seams. When the first one punctures something hollow, a rush of cold vapor shakes frost across Spark's gloves. It looks like breath. The pylon shudders and adjusts its depth. The ship off our backs groans faintly as the tether lines take load. My visor switches perspective again. It's Spark's view this time, jittering as she adjusts the pylon's bite. My hands move in her hands, smaller, more precise. I hear myself say, "Good set," in my own voice from somewhere over her left shoulder. Then back to my POV, with the ghost of her HUD floating for a flicker over mine. Different syntax, angles tagged with terms I don't use, a series of marks. On the tower labeled in a language I almost remember, I don't tell them. Little lies grease the bolts. I can afford the interest on this one because everyone's balance is already in the red. Captain, Ops says. You need to see this. There, kneeling by the ground seam. The vents here don't pulse. They gape open like fish mouths, black and ovular. fountain pens laid in a row. Ops passes a probe down into one. It goes in farther than the length of the probe. Farther than it should. Ops lets go. The probe is still going down. I stop them with a hand on their wrist. "Don't feed it," I say. And the words taste like a memory. I hate that they feel practiced. Sparks is staring past us. "They're closer," she says. "The towers?" Helm asks. He laughs once, high and quick. "They're stationary." "No," Sparks says. "Not closer like distance. Closer like attention." My tongue is numb. The taste of copper has become the taste of old coins, of childhood tricks, to make blood stop flowing. I look up at the tower and try to imagine it without scale, as if it were a model. It doesn't help. The thing is perfectly smooth, no toolpath marks, no growth lines. Not built, made. And if it's made, it had to be made for something. "Mark bearing," I say. "We'll circle with the crawler, maintain line of sight, and—" "Captain," the AI says softly in my ear, the way someone speaks in a ward at night. "Do not circle, do not maintain line of sight." It pauses, and when it speaks again, its voice is mine. "We tried that already." I don't answer. If I answer, I participate. Participation makes it true. We load back up. The crawler's cabin is small enough that our shoulders brush. Sparks' suit smells like cold metal and plasticizers and rosemary shampoo she's not using anymore. Helm says nothing, hands white on the yoke. Ops keeps glancing out their side window, pupils going thin like they want more light than exists. The crawler pivots and grinds across the plates, treads jumping in little shivers when they hit the seams. The ceiling pulses in a slower rhythm. The light reaches down and touches the tower and shows me the barest texture, like pores opening, closing. I count the intervals. I count without meaning to. 8 beats. Pause. 5. It should add up to something. It doesn't. "Why is the log blank?" Sparks asks into the dead air. "If we've been here." No one answers. I can feel my hand wanting to reach for the manual override and cut the AI off at the root. It's an old instinct, to kill the thing that's telling you bad news and call it prevention. I don't touch it. Not because it's wrong, and not because it's right. Because if the AI is echoing me, and I've done this before, then turning it off was a move I already made and it didn't save anyone. Movement at the far edge again. A figure, then 2. I clamp my jaw and keep my eyes forward. They'll be gone if I turn. This is how the place works. It offers you proof just off axis and punishes you for wanting verification. The crawler lurches, a grinding noise under us, like 100 bearings seizing at once. Spark swears. Helm feathers the throttle. We surge free. Something about that sound crawls up my spine and sits at the base of my skull and whispers, "That was teeth." "Captain," Ops says, very quiet. "I don't think this ground is ground, I don't either. I think we're on a surface that is secondarily a surface built to be moved across without being left. A tongue for tasting, a skin for sensing pressure changes. It flexes when I look, no, when I notice, like a cat's fur trembles when the idea of touch passes too near it." We stop again. Sparks lifts her camera to mark the tower for a long-range zoom. The visor glitch hits while she's lining up the shot, and our feeds swap for a blink. My throat goes tight. In her view, in the far field of the lens, the tower isn't straight. It's curved slightly, just enough that if any rational geometry governed this place, it would have toppled millennia ago. The curve is toward us. My feed returns. The tower stands straight and perfect. "Captain?" Sparks says. "Did you hold?" I say. My voice is calm. It belongs to someone with training and backbone and a good death wish. I realize I'm narrating to myself so that I don't have to be with myself. If I talk, I'm on the other side of the glass. That's safer. I switch the suit mic off just to hear the sound of my own breath unmediated. It fogs the visor at the edges. When it clears, the tower hasn't moved. Of course it hasn't. It's a mountain, it's a needle, it's a lie. The AI comes back like a conscience. "You asked me to say this when you wouldn't remember," it says. "We are repeating. The order of events changes. The outcome does not." "What outcome?" Helm asks, shaky. He's too young for his voice to break like that. He's older than he looks. We all are. The AI is quiet for so long I think it's gone. Then, "You told me not to use the word death." Sparks lowers the camera. The crawler cabin is very small. "Get us moving," I say, because motion is the only tool left when understanding has failed. We roll forward. The plates flex and sigh in a long wave that travels away from us like meadowgrass in wind if meadowgrass were patient and metal and hungry. I decide I will not look at the tower for 10 seconds. I count. I listen to the crawler's motor whine. I watch frost crawl across the inside of the windshield and recede without melting. I reach 10. I look back at the tower. In the distance, it has shifted. Not closer, not taller. Something subtler. It is no longer aligned with anything by accident. Its long, smooth face is turned, impossibly, silently, directly toward us. The tower swallows us. The transition from the outside's copper ozone tang to the interior's dead air is instant and absolute. Like stepping from a furnace into the vacuum between stars. My visor readout shivers as it tries to reconcile the temperature. -68 Celsius. That's colder than hard shadow in deep orbit. And still, the readings fluctuate, climbing and dropping in irregular waves. The walls aren't just walls. They curve inward slightly, ribbed with slow-turning mechanisms that almost, but not quite, align with human symmetry. Each rotation clicks with unnerving precision, like teeth catching in a jaw, but softer, as if muffled by flesh. Some of the surfaces pulse faintly under my lamp, and I can't tell if it's light refracting on wet metal or something beneath the skin of this place trying to breathe. My own heartbeat is too loud in my ears. Then the clicks start matching, and it takes a few beats to notice the kind of realization that creeps in sideways. Click, 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 then faster, until each rotation syncs with the thud in my chest. I stop walking. The clicks stop. Sparks glances at me, and just as she does, the rhythm shifts, now perfectly in time with hers. She freezes. The clicks continue for 3 more beats, then pause, waiting, listening. The air here doesn't move, but it ripples, bending the light in soft waves. The distortion makes Sparks' outline shimmer like she's underwater. It's not heat. My suit registers a temperature drop with each ripple. Cold, so sharp it feels wet. I glance at my HUD feed. In the corner, my helmet cam records movement. Someone walking behind me. Same suit as mine, down to the plasma-scorched seam at the collar. Same gait. Same subtle tilt of the head. Only I haven't moved. I twist around. The passage is empty. My cam feed doesn't change. The figure is still. There, walking toward me, my reflection wearing a delay. I shut the feed off. The inside of my skull itches. The corridor opens into a chamber. The floor glistens under our lamps, covered in a thin sheet of black fluid that refuses to ripple from our steps. It's not pooling from a source. It's just there, still as glass. The surface reflects nothing. I step forward and feel my boot sink in, almost imperceptibly, like stepping into warm tar. Only it's cold. Cold enough to bite through the insulated sole. Then the liquid pulls back from my boot in a clean, perfect circle. And I see it. An eye. The size of a hatch door. Pale, the sclera marbled with delicate cracks. A thin film clouding the cornea, but not obscuring the fact that it is looking at me. Not my suit. Not my light. Me. My breath hitches hard enough to fog the visor in sharp bursts. The iris contracts in slow, syrupy motion, not in fear, not in surprise, but in focus. I take one step, back. The clicking mechanisms in the walls stop. The ripple in the air stills. Even Sparks' voice in the comm dies mid-word. The eye blinks. Every light, our lamps, our HUDs, the faint pulse in the wall, dies at once. The sound that follows isn't a noise so much as the memory of one, a deep pressure that pushes against my teeth and gums like something on the other side of the darkness is breathing in. Darkness is a pressure here. It clings to the visor, dense and grainy, so even my helmet lamps can't quite punch through it. The beams slice narrow cones through the black, catching on walls that seem to bend away from the light. The air feels heavier now, thick enough to taste, plastic and cold metal with something else under it, faint and acrid like scorched wiring in an enclosed room. We move slow, every step deliberate. My lamp swings ahead, brushing over the slick curve of the corridor, over the still pool we crossed, over Sparks a half-pace ahead. Her breathing is sharp in the comms, an occasional rasp like she's pulling air through grit. The walls are lined with that same biomechanical machinery, turning in slow, deliberate motions, but now the clicks are muted, replaced by a low hum that vibrates through my boots. Something shifts in the dark. It's not light, not shadow, more like a sudden change in the air's weight, a displacement I can feel in my chest before I register it with my eyes. My lamp catches motion, but it's too fast to lock onto. It's gone before my mind can assign shape. Sparks freezes, turns her head as if to confirm she saw it too. She doesn't get the chance. She's just gone. One moment she's there, the beam of her helmet lamp cutting across mine, glinting off the slick floor. The next, her light spins free in the dark, clattering once against metal before rolling to a stop. The comms erupt with static, swallowing whatever she might have said. The air changes again, a warm draft rolling over me from nowhere, carrying with it the sharp stink of burning plastic. It's not coming from my suit. It's everywhere, as if the walls themselves are heating from the inside out. I run forward, boots sliding slightly on the damp floor. My lamp finds her light lying sideways, still on, its beam shaking faintly against the far wall as it rolls to a halt. The beam flickers. Once, twice, then steadies, no sparks. There's a smear on the wall where her light beam lands, not blood, not grease. Just a glossy streak, almost clear, that steams faintly in my lamp's glow. I hear it then. The sound I'd been too focused to notice. Soft, rapid, muffled, like someone pounding on metal through layers of cloth. It's ahead, deeper in the structure. I move toward it without thinking. The corridor narrows, the walls closing in until I have to angle my shoulders to pass. My lamp catches moisture, thick droplets clinging to the surfaces. The walls are warm to the touch through the suit, too warm for stone or metal. They have a faint give when I brush against them, like pressing into muscle. The pounding grows louder as I advance, echoing strangely in the close space. I can't tell if it's in front of me or beneath me. The passage pinches further, and soon I'm on my hands and knees, the floor slick beneath my gloves. My knees slide on the surface, and for a second I imagine the warmth soaking through the suit, the floor holding me in place if I stay too long. I crawl toward the sound, lamp beam jittering over the narrow tunnel. The light catches on small ridges in the walls, veins almost bulging and contracting slowly, like the whole structure is pulling in breath after breath. Then the pounding stops. The sudden silence is so complete it's almost a sound of its own. My breath is harsh in my ears, the rasp of my suit's life support loud and invasive. I stop moving, crouched in the narrow space. My lamp beam lands on something ahead, a pale curve softly lit. I reach out. My glove closes on something smooth, domed and slightly tacky to the touch. Sparks' helmet. It's warm. My throat tightens as I turn it over. The visor is intact, but the inside is empty. No blood, no fragments, just empty. Her comm channel pings active. I don't press it. I don't have to. The sound comes through on its own, slow, wet breathing, not Sparks breathing. It's deeper, more deliberate. A sound made by something that doesn't need air but takes it anyway. I keep my lamp on the helmet like it'll change if I look long enough. A noise behind me, not far behind, directly behind. I twist, but the passage is no longer there. The shaft I crawled through is gone, replaced by the same slick, warm surface as the walls. Seamless. I press my hand to it, and it yields just slightly, pulsing faintly under my palm. The warmth travels up my arm. Her breathing fills the comms. Louder now. Closer. Then, my name. Spoken in her voice, from inside my own helmet. The sound doesn't come through the suit's speakers. It vibrates against the glass from the inside, whisper soft, fogging the visor in slow, rhythmic pulses that match someone else's breath, and then I feel it. Warmth blooming against my cheek inside the helmet. Something in here with me. The crawler feels smaller when we get back to it. Air inside the cabin is cold and wet. Recircs overcompensating, filters whispering just loud enough to be noticed. Helm keeps asking if Sparks is dead, voice flat, almost hopeful. Ops doesn't ask at all. They just keep glancing toward the tower we came from like they expect it to lean closer. She's alive, I say, and I hear how it sounds. Too quick, too certain. It's the voice of someone who's already written the truth down and then crossed it out. She's close. I know they don't believe me. Helm's jaw works behind his visor like he's chewing through words he can't swallow. Ops doesn't even look at me, but no one says, "Let's go." Not yet. I tell them, we're pushing deeper in. They don't argue, and that's almost worse. We guide the crawler between structures that grow denser as we advance. Towers rise like ribs from the metal ground, arching over us in curves too smooth to be natural. Under the arches, it feels like moving inside a body, protected but only because you've been swallowed. Every light we bring seems to pool on the surfaces instead of bouncing off them. The towers shine in a way that doesn't mean light. The AI breaks the silence without warning. Unscheduled signal detected. I start to ask what it means, but then I hear it. Low, constant, more vibration than sound. It's so deep it lives. In the bones, a hum that slides under the helmet audio and sits behind the eyes. It doesn't have a rhythm, but my brain keeps trying to find one. Source? Ops asks. Their voice sounds tired, like the hum is already using up their air. Everywhere, the AI says. No directionality. The hum gets inside my focus. My peripheral vision swims. HUD elements blur and double, like they're printed on water. My teeth ache. Not just a throb, more like a small, steady twisting, as if something in the roots is being aligned to fit another pattern. I don't tell the others that the hum feels familiar, or that I can almost remember where I've heard it before. We leave the crawler and walk. Boots make no sound on the plates, which is wrong. Mass that heavy should give something back. The air here is sharper, more metallic, the taste in my mouth close to blood and ozone. Helm is lagging a half step, glancing up at the towers too, often. I don't tell him to stop. He wouldn't. The corridor we find is narrow, walls perfectly smooth, leading toward a single surface that drinks light like the towers. At first I think it's solid metal, polished past reason, but as we get closer it begins to shimmer. Not in reflection, in motion. Ops mutters, "That's not a wall." I know what they mean. The surface isn't showing us, it's showing somewhere else. No, someone. The corridor ends in the mirror-smooth expanse, but it doesn't reflect. It ripples like a membrane, and inside it is a scene that knots my stomach before I understand why. It's a crew. Human. 5 suits? Old model but familiar. They're moving through an environment like this one, but it's degraded. Walls sagging. Wet. Their lamps catch glimpses of motion in the dark. Limbs too many. Torsos bent wrong. One by one they're taken. Fast. Pulled out of sight. Helm steps back. What the hell is... In the membrane the scene jumps, and now there are only 2 crew left. One is firing a cutting torch wildly into the dark. The other is me. I know the posture, the tilt of the helmet, the scarred seam at the collar. They're pressed to the wall, clutching something round in both hands. They turn their Head slightly, and though the visor is opaque, I know they're looking at the thing that's behind the other survivor. Ops whispers, "That's you." I don't answer. The membrane shivers again. New scene. My double is on their knees now, helmet off, breath fogging in quick bursts. There's movement behind them in the dark, long, slow, deliberate. The scene cuts out before I see it clearly. The hum is louder now. No. Closer. It's not coming through the comms anymore, it's in my jaw, crawling down my neck. My chest tightens and I scratch absently at my ribs through the suit. The itch is deep, wrong, like something has been stitched under the skin and is tugging to get out. Ops reaches toward the wall. I want to stop them, but my voice sticks. Their glove touches the surface and sinks in a centimeter, like the membrane wants them. It ripples violently, and all the scenes vanish except one. It's the three of us. Helm, Ops, me, right here, right now. Same positions, same angle of view. But there's a fourth figure behind us in the reflection. Taller, too thin, leaning close, head bent so it almost brushes Ops's helmet. And in the reflection, the me that isn't me turns its head and looks out. Not at Ops, not at Helm. At me. It smiles. Slow, deliberate. The hum spikes in my skull, blooming into a pressure that makes me want to dig my nails into my gums until the teeth come out. The itch under my skin sharpens, my knees go soft. I blink, and the membrane is just a wall again. Smooth. Perfect. Ops pulls their hand back fast, shaking it like it's burned. Helm is breathing hard. The hum settles back into the background, like it's finished something. I don't tell them that when my reflection smiled. It wasn't wearing a helmet. The central spire isn't built. It's grown. That's the first thought that sticks as we follow a spiraling corridor upward, our lights struggling to keep up with the scale. The walls are the same bone-smooth material as the towers outside, but veined with faintly glowing channels that pulse in the same rhythm as the hum inside my head. Ops says nothing. Helm mutters under his breath sometimes, half-formed thoughts that the comms don't quite catch. I keep moving. My body feels like it already knows the way. The corridor opens into a wide chamber, so vast my helmet lamps vanish into the dark before they touch the far walls. The air is colder here, dead and heavy, like it's been sealed for longer than time has a number for. The hum swells until I can feel it in my jaw hinges. Then our lights catch on shapes. Rows. Not crates, not machinery. Pods. Hundreds of them, set into the floor and rising in columns, each one just large enough to hold a human body. Frosted panels fogged over from the inside. Shapes shift behind the glass. Slow, shallow breathing. I step closer. The first pod's occupant is wearing our ship's insignia on their chest plate. It's Kellen from engineering. He should be on the crawler right now, 30 minutes back along our trail. His eyes twitch beneath closed lids. A breath mists. The glass ops moves to another pod. Their breath catches. "Captain, these are..." I see them. More faces, more suits. Crew I know. Crew I left back on the ship. Crew who never left dock, and then me. I know it's me before the light hits the glass. Same suit, same visor, same plasma-scored seam at the collar. My head is tilted slightly to the side like I've been listening for a long time. My face, pale, thinner than the mirror shows, rests in a slack mask of sleep. My stomach knots. My double's eyes snap open. I freeze. The mouth moves, shaping words I can't hear. Slow. Measured. Ops says something into the comms, but I don't catch it. My attention is locked on the rhythm of my double's lips. Then, like a film skipping, the sound comes through. Not from the pod, but inside my helmet, layered under my own breathing. Don't let them leave. The hum in the chamber sharpens, twists, and becomes a voice not speaking new words but reminding me of ones I already know. A script, instructions I've heard before, followed before. The tone isn't commanding. It's familiar, comforting. Behind me, Helm is calling for extraction. Ops is saying we need to record everything. The AI cuts in. Captain, log integrity compromised. Erasures detected. Who erased them? I ask, my voice flat. You did, the AI says. It doesn't sound like an accusation. It sounds like a confirmation. I glance back at my double. The face behind the glass isn't slack anymore. It's smiling. The AI keeps talking, its voice low, like it's sharing something meant for me alone. This planet's orbit shifts after each landing. Vector changes, targeting changes, it is steering itself. I should feel fear. Instead, the hum's weight in my head feels right, like the ache of a muscle after use. My double's lips move again. Don't let them leave. And I understand, without knowing how, that they're not talking about the others in this room. They're talking about the ones who aren't here yet. The smile behind the glass widens. It starts small. Helm's voice goes tight whenever I answer the comms, like he's holding back something bitter. Ops won't stand within arm's reach of me anymore. Their eyes flick between my visor and the faint shimmer of the hum veins in the walls, as if they're trying to decide which is more dangerous. By the time we leave the pod chamber, conversation is all accusation. You're not breathing right, Helm says. You're the one who keeps lagging behind, I tell him. He snaps back, because I don't want to be near you. Ops mutters something about both of us being wrong, but when I ask them to repeat it, they look past me like they're counting down. The shadows come next. We notice them after the third corridor, when Helm's lamp catches mine stretched against the wall, long and warped. It lifts its hand a moment after I lift mine. Ops tests it, stepping forward, stepping back. The shadow follows with a deliberate delay, a bad dub track trying to sync. Suit sensors show no anomaly, the AI says, though I swear I hear a smile in the words. Food is worse. The rations we unpack from the crawler smell fine in the bag, but in the open air of the spire they take on the heavy sweetness of rusted iron. The first bite tastes like licking a battery. Ops spits theirs out and doesn't try again. Helm swallows. Gags, forces it down. I chew slow. My tongue goes numb. We keep moving. It's in the fourth corridor that I see her. Sparks. She's standing in the middle of the passage, helmet off, skin pale in the cold blue wash of the tower's veins. She's smiling too wide, lips stretched until they look like they might split. Her skin is taut over her cheekbones, her eyes the same black void I saw in the storm before descent. Captain, she says, and her voice is warm, familiar, wrong. She takes a step toward me. Her arm reaches out, it bends in 3 extra places, not broken, not dislocated, just added to. My visor flickers. For a moment she's gone, and I'm standing where she was. My own arm is extended toward myself, joints wrong, fingers curling too slow like they're on strings. I feel the weight of the suit around me, but it doesn't fit quite right. The flicker ends. Sparks is back. The hum is louder now, almost, drowning the pounding in my ears. My breathing spikes, fogging the inside of my visor in frantic bursts. I stumble back, shoulder hitting the wall hard enough to rattle the lamp mount. When the fog clears, she's gone. Ops and Helm are staring, weapons half raised, but neither of them asks what happened. I flex my hand to prove it's still mine. The ache runs from my palm to my elbow, deep and wrong. I look down. Beneath the fabric of my suit, just above the wrist seal, something shifts. A new joint, small and neat, flexes once, like it's testing me. It starts in the wrist, where the new joint appeared. The ache spreads outward, slow at first, then quick enough that I stop trusting my own limbs. The skin beneath the suit grows tight, as if it's shrinking to fit something harder underneath. By the time we're back at the crawler, the pallor has turned to colorless metal, the same matte dark as the spire's walls. It creeps in seams along my arms and legs, locking joints with little spasms that I can feel but can't fight. When I try to bend my fingers, they move like machine parts that were welded together too late. The others aren't untouched. Ops' pupils are clouding, a gray sheen crawling across them like frost on glass. Helm keeps rubbing his jaw as if something is growing there. None of us talk about it. The air outside has changed. It's thicker, as if the static we hear on comms is now suspended in every breath. Tastes like chewed foil. The hum is constant, too steady to be natural, too deep to be ignored. We decide to leave. Or maybe that decision was already made for... As Helm drives the crawler, I take rear watch. The spires fall away behind us, but the light never changes. The black ceiling above pulses slow and deep, always the same distance away. The path ahead feels unfamiliar, but the ground plates flex, in the same places they did on the way in. It takes us hours to realize the truth. We're back at the spire. Again. Ops checks the nav feed. That's not possible, they say, but their voice has no conviction. We try another route. Half a day later, though my watch hasn't advanced a minute, we're back again. Same tower, same arching ribs overhead. Time stops making sense, Ibal. Ration logs say we've eaten 6 meals. My own internal clock says I've been awake for less than an hour. Hunger doesn't arrive in waves anymore. It's constant, gnawing at the edges of thought. My mouth tastes like blood and ozone even before I open another packet. By the third loop, Helm is missing. Ops and I find him in a corridor near the crawler, where the spire's inner walls have begun to melt into each other like cooling wax. He's fused there, half his body swallowed by the structure. His face is split between flesh and plating, the metal seamless, smooth, almost beautiful if it weren't eating him alive. His breathing is shallow, rattling, the sound of a ventilator without a machine. When he sees me, his eyes focus, barely. "Captain," he rasps, "do it, please." I stand there for too long. I can smell the static in the air, the metallic tang of him becoming part of the wall. My fingers curl around the grip of my sidearm and then I let go. I don't end it, I don't even answer. I turn to leave. "Captain," he says again, but softer now. Then his voice changes. He starts whispering my own memories back to me. First, the last few hours, then days, then years. Every choice, every failure, every word I've spoken since stepping off the crawler. His tone is flat, precise, like he's reading from a log I never knew existed. And underneath it all, the hum swells, matching the rhythm of my own heartbeat. It's just Ops and me now. They don't speak much anymore. Their voice has gone hoarse, the words brittle around the edges. I don't think it's fear, they're past that. It's more like they're holding something in, something that wants out. I know the feeling. We sit in the crawler with the engine, idling, looking toward where the ship should be. The AI is silent now, not dead, just waiting. I can feel it in the comms line like a person holding their breath on the other end of a call. Ops says, "We can make it if we push straight through." I nod. We can make it. I'm lying. The voice in my head has stopped pretending to be anything else. It's not the AI. It's not some alien whisper. It's me, clearer, calmer, stripped of hesitation. It tells me the truth of this place. The same truth my double told me in the pod chamber. The planet needs someone to bring others here. Someone willing. Someone who won't leave. We start walking. Not toward the ship, toward the spire. Ops follows without question. I lead them through the same corridors, the same bone-smooth halls. The hum grows louder, folding over itself until it's not sound at all but a constant pressure in the chest, a heartbeat that isn't mine. When we reach the pod chamber, Ops slows. "No," they say. "Yes," I answer. They take a step back, but I'm already between them and the door. I guide them forward, hand firm on their back. The pods tower above us like teeth in a giant's jaw, each one fogged and waiting. The glass nearest us hisses open, and the inside glistens wetly. Ops fights then, but their strength is gone. I shove them in. The harness snaps around their arms and legs like it's been waiting for this moment. They scream as the fluid rises from the floor, thick and clear, filling the space around them. Their helmet slams back into the rest, a soft, metallic click. I watch them struggle. The fluid reaches their face. They hold their breath for an impressive amount of time. When they finally exhale, bubbles bloom and vanish. Their movement slow, then stop. The glass fogs over. My hands don't shake. I turn toward the door. That's when I hear it. A hiss, then 100 more, all at once. I look back. Pods are opening. Row after row, seals breaking, glass sliding back. The fog clears from their surfaces. Inside, figures stir, some in our uniforms, some in suits I don't recognize, some without any suit at all, just pale skin and dark sealed eyes. They're all standing now, or something close to standing, and every single one is facing me. I wake to the low hum of the bridge. Cold blue light washes over the consoles, the kind that turns skin the color of old ice. For a moment I think I've fallen asleep here, head against the armrest, but then I notice the absence. No ache in my arm, no tightness where the plating had begun to grow. My breath is easy, too easy, the air smells clean, filtered. The viewport stretches before me, an impossible frame of blackened color, a gas giant banded in muted gold and ash, filling half the sky. In its shadow, a speck, a dark planet, small, solitary. My stomach drops before my mind catches up. I know this view. I've stood here before with the same frozen breath in my chest, the same shiver crawling up my spine. The nav log scrolls data across my HUD. Object not cataloged. Orbit irregular. My eyes lock on the planet. The black storm roils slowly across. Its surface and beneath it in flickers the shapes appear, straight lines, grids, impossible symmetry, like a city glimpsed through static. I try to step back. My boots don't move. The muscles in my legs strain, but my body isn't mine anymore. My hands glide over the controls with perfect precision, locking in coordinates for descent. Not my choice. Not my hands. The comms crackle softly. I expect helm, ops, someone breathing. But instead there's laughter. Sparks. It's faint, close, and wrong. Not coming through the comm channel. Not even external. It's inside my helmet, threading between my breaths. I close my eyes, but it stays. AI, I manage. My voice sounds distant. Override descent. No override available, it replies. The tone is different now, smoother, almost human. Are you ready for descent, Captain? I try to say no. My jaw opens, lips part, but the word that leaves me is yes. Outside, the black storm shifts. Not random. Deliberate. The clouds peel back in perfect symmetry, opening into a vast, circular wound. The iris. The memory comes in a rush. Falling. Into that darkness, the towers bending toward us, the hum behind my eyes. I grip the armrest. My reflection in the viewport grips too, only it moves a half second early like it's anticipating me. I force myself to meet its gaze. It smiles. The planet swells in the viewport, swallowing the gas giant's shadow. The city lights beneath the storm brighten, but they're not lights. They're apertures. Thousands of them, aligned in a pattern that resolves only when I let my eyes unfocus. The ship's engines cut to idle,